morning, everyone, and welcome to our Tuesday check-in here at Westminster United Church in Thunder Bay. If this is your first time with us, a special welcome to you, and I hope you can join us for some of our other broadcasts. This is Sprite, who likes to join me on Tuesdays when she can, and our other one is around here somewhere. This will be the last Tuesday check-in for a while. I begin vacation on August 1st, and I'll be back. That's Elf behind me there. On September 1st, I'm back from vacation, and after that, well, plans are in the works. So stay tuned to your Facebook page, though, through the month of August for any news coming from the church, and also your worship notes for any updates. And on Sunday mornings at 10, we will continue with a time of prayer and reflection with some special guests hosting those times online. So I hope you can join us for that. So the other day I was out looking at my plants on the balcony, and I have a total of two. One of the bigger planter has pink and white and red petunias, and the other is a tomato plant. And both have so far survived my complete lack of gardening skill. But I looked at both plants and I thought, well, isn't that just 2020 for you? You see, I thought I had purchased my usual plants, but I went wrong on both counts. I usually get those wave petunias, the ones that grow out and kind of over the pot. And they're very pretty when they do that. But this year I didn't read the fine print on that tiny little white stake that comes in the plant. And I now have very tall petunias. They're pretty, but they're not what I expected. And I also thought I'd bought a plant that would produce cherry tomatoes. I did not. I have standard sized tomatoes that are coming in really nicely, but again, not what I expected. Nothing about this year is what we expected. None of us could have anticipated what the world would face in 2020 and is still facing all these months later. We have each of us discovered what it's like to live with that simmering constant vigilance about the spread of COVID-19. And while our little part of the world may have been less affected than denser populated areas, we have nonetheless needed to take every precaution so as not to spread illness to others. And I think we've mostly done the right things, and our case count locally shows it. The necessary lockdown has been more difficult for some than for others. For our children and grandchildren, missing school and their sports and their friends has been especially difficult. For our elders in long-term care, the sudden lack of visitors has been disorienting and upsetting. For the extroverts in our midst, whose energy comes from being with people and interacting with people, the isolation must have been dreadful at times. But then even the people whose lives have not been drastically changed over these months, even they have felt the impact of COVID along with all of us. Whether it's concern for loved ones or simply following the constant rules and the news updates, we've all been in this COVID world long enough to have normalized it, at least to some degree. So for many of us, that meant that the word Zoom took on a whole new meaning. It no longer meant a car speeding by at a high speed. It's a new way to connect with other people. And whether it was for meetings or family gatherings or for worship, Zoom became the way we could be together without being together. And that's a good thing. Though I'll admit there were days I simply was zoomed out and did not want to see another screen for a long time. These COVID times also offered up some opportunities for us, and that's been good. For some, it's been a time to slow down and become a bit more reflective about life. For others, it's been a good time to catch up with old friends by phone or email or, yes, Zoom. Perhaps the inability to travel has meant that you've been able to pause and appreciate the beauty right outside our door. I hope you've been able to find a blessing in this time, even if it's been quite unexpected. As I've mentioned many times, the life and work of our church has continued on. When we suspended worship in March, I had no idea what the next 5 months were going to require of me, or what would be required of all of our faith communities. The learning curve was steep for all of us. I am so very proud of our church, our congregation at Westminster United, the other 6 local United churches, our region, and our United Church of Canada. I'm proud of all of us. So I want to offer a few thank yous to our board for all their hard work over these months and for showing up every other week on Zoom to make some tough decisions. And especially to Kim, our chair, who had been in the position of chair for exactly 1 week when all this started. And the same goes for Peter Van Stone, who is our treasurer and had been in that position for exactly 1 week before this very complicated financial time hit our church. To every board member, you've done work above and beyond the call of duty, and I do appreciate it. To our trustees for stepping up in the past few weeks to handle our tree situation and for always being the oversight of our property and our assets, and just for the work you do, thank you. For everyone who's caring for our property right now, our lawn care volunteers and our gardeners, and for Tammy and Jim for regularly checking on the building. To our pastoral care volunteers for making calls, sending cards, and helping us all to stay connected with one another in a time when we can't be together in person. Thank you for this important ministry. And thank you to all of you who have continued to tune in to our check-ins and our worship. Thank you for staying home when you were able and for only going out when necessary. Your actions made a difference. Thank you to our essential workers, first responders, healthcare workers, and long-term care, and group home workers. You've kept us safe and cared for, and we're grateful. As we venture into plans for reopening, it's natural to look for our old normal patterns, whether that's in church or simply being out in our community. But those normals have changed. The virus has not disappeared, and we still need to take care as we move through these days. Please wear a mask. It's mandated now, so you have to. But wear it because it matters and because it helps someone else. Are they uncomfortable? Yes. Do they fog up your glasses? Yes. Do they protect other people from exposure you might have had? Yes, definitely. Now, there are some people who can't wear them for medical reasons, and I realize that, but most people can wear them safely. Just wear it. Wear the mask. It's one of the few things we know can help. And many of our faith communities are considering how to best safely gather for in-person worship, ours included. My friend and colleague Liz Crumlish has been pondering what it means to go back. Here's what she says. Going back, what does that entail? Is it a regression back to old habits and comforting practices? Is it a retreat back to safe spaces and familiar patterns? Is it a withdrawal back to sanctuaries where we can hide safely entrenched behind defensive walls built up over generations? Going back, a comforting default or a move forward? A buzz phrase, much maligned, moving forward with God into the future that God is revealing. discerning the places where God lives and walks and invites us to be partners, listening and connecting, learning and discovering who we are called to be in the wake of a pandemic, with the potential for deploying the reset function that is already in progress. Moving forward into the promise of the unknown, where the rules of engagement are still being worked out, where we cannot rely on old paths that we know, but on the one who makes all things new. Going back, default or promise? Which will it be? Which will it be indeed? What we know is this. We have discovered that we can be church together in a new way and remain faithful to our shared ministry and our mission together. So whatever the weeks and months ahead may hold for us, we know we will move forward in faith together. See you back here for evening prayer on Thursday at 7 p.m. Until then, be safe, be well, be kind.